Okay, folks, now we're starting into posters and the value of posters. So basically, there's kind of 4 to 5 different poster categories to evaluate. The first set of posters are always the tour poster. And they're the typical posters you see of the Aerosmith, Pink Floyd, Paul McCartney tours, which has all the tour dates. Then the second type of posters, which have a different value, is the venue poster. It'll say Paul McCartney or Roger Waters at Air Canada or at the Sky Dome.
But there isn't always one of those.
No,
sometimes
they're rare.
There's not. Yeah.
And those local posters are limited. Like they'll only make 50 to 500 of those local posters that say Massey Hall or Air Canada because they're not that big sellers, but it makes them more of a rare poster. So now as we start into the poster scene, the other one posters are the movie posters from movies or artistic posters, which we'll show you because some of them have more value, right? So the first poster that is up is this one. This is one of my favorite Aerosmith posters because it's just got the graphics of the band's era of music, and I would think this one's worth a little bit more because of its graphics. Your opinion?
Yeah. How old is? Oh, 2002.
Yeah.
Probably 100 to 150 or something like that.
Right. So that's a good one. And now this one is Bare Naked Ladies, but it's autographed. So it's a weird looking poster of the Bare Naked Ladies, but the autograph gives it value. So.
And that's with the original singer in it, who left shortly after that.
Shortly after that.
You know, $150. The show, Big Bang.
The Big Bang music.
Yeah, they did the.
That's what made the Bare Naked Ladies get some good royalties. You were saying,
they became much more famous in the States. Everyone knew if I had $1 million, but that song actually really escalated their notoriety.
The last time the original Beach Boys toured was their 50th anniversary, and they actually talked Brian Wilson into joining the tour. And then after that, of course, Brian left, and the other guys do their casino gigs. So it's not worth that much, but it was okay. This is typical poster from Bette Midler. She always had the fish costume. If you ever watch a lot of her movie stages, she brings that kind of fish costume.
There's a scene with the mermaids.
Yeah, that made her show famous doing that. Bob Seger, well, he's always got the Eagles on his passes, on his programs, and on his T-shirts. So it's a really good.
Now supposedly he's not touring anymore, and you know that's a nice, probably $100
poster.
Yeah.
All right. This was a 3D poster. It doesn't really show here, but it was a hologram 3D of Bon Jovi going through a tunnel. One of the rare posters, because not many bands make 3D posters. I don't know how much it's worth.
Well, they probably had 2. They had one that wasn't, which was much cheaper.
Right.
This would be the more expensive one to buy. So this would be probably close to 100. But Bon Jovi does do a lot of merchandising. They put a lot of, the women love buying their stuff.
Yeah. And they tour a lot.
They tour a lot.
But this is a rare one for 3D because they don't make those, because they're too expensive to make, really. Okay, Bruno Mars, colorful T-shirts, colorful posters. Medium range in price because he's not that big yet, but he always did good songs and always likes animals and other colorful posters in his shirt. Yellow seems to be his favorite color.
Yeah, it's $50. He's a pop act a little bit. People might take exception to that, but they come with their latest album. It's not like a classic rock band where they have a catalog.
Right.
They're famous forever. He may not be famous forever if he doesn't put out more hits. So,
Okay, this Cher poster is really good because if you click, see she's got black hair. Now if you click to the next one, she's got blonde hair. It's still the same poster, which is rare in poster collections because it's a 3D poster. So if you go back, you see her with black hair. And if you go the other way, you see her with blonde hair. And that's
so as you turn it?
Yeah, as you turn the poster, it's like a hologram poster. I don't know how much it's worth.
I've never seen another one like that.
Yeah, it's a rare, in poster collections, it's a rare one. But Cher always liked the black and white.
The thing is, with newer posters, people keep them because they're expensive. So the most valuable posters were the ones that when they were $3 and $4 in the early 70s, and you pin them to your wall and then throw them out. So there's not many of those around. Everyone would keep these. If someone's going to spend $40, $50 at a show, And they keep them in nice condition because she plays to adults. It's not like it's a
Right.
kids band or something, right?
So what do you think that kind of hologram poster would be worth?
But probably $150.
Yeah. And of course, she always had the legs and the costumes to do her poster outfits. So
The one thing that can affect a poster's value is at the end of the tour, if they have 100,000 posters left, they just blow them out.
Right.
And that kills it. And that could kill it for 10, 20 years.
Right.
So there were some posters that were in surplus back in the 80s, but that stock is dried up, and now they're worth money again.
Right.
But if a tour finishes and they don't want to store the stuff and they want to get, because they can't use the next tour, it doesn't pertain to it, and they put them all out there. Now, I think some bands actually shred them, so that maintains the value.
Oh, yeah.
But if you put them out in the market for 10 cents on the dollar, you're going to kill the value.
And Cher made a glossy poster like this one. It's really, if you had the real poster, it really shines out more.
These are never investment. I mean, they're nice things to get and buy.
Right.
But if you're going to invest in a poster, it's going to be some of the ones that we'll show later, where you buy really rare old posters. And those ones will go up in value.
Coldplay, 17 tour. Very popular band. One of the rare bands that are still popular in this day and age now and have a draw. This one sells more because it's got the CN Tower and the Sky Dome. So
cool.
The local people
Is that
really
black
like
light
it.
too, or it almost looks
I
like
kind of partially.
They're starting to make black light posters again, which they hadn't for years. But that's a nice poster. I'm sure that's worth over $100.
Yeah, 2009 at Sky Dome with their Butterfly tour. Now, this is a famous Bowie poster when Bowie was starting to get into his cosmetics and his famous facial drawings and costumes. And I think this is Aladdin tour.
Yeah.
And this is Hell Never Freezes Over, when the Eagles decide to get back and tour a couple of times. It's a good road.
Well, that was the album they brought out, The Long Road Out of Eden.
Yeah.
And
not worth much, maybe $80, $50, something like that. Now, there's a good ELO poster.
It's made to look very old. It's not.
As you can see, but it's got a fluorescent film to it.
Right.
And it lights up in the dark. So that's why this poster is worth more than the normal poster.
But it does, they've aged it in a way where they make it look older, but it really isn't. It's only from, 18?
2018. Yeah. And, of course, they're famous.
But it's a cool-looking poster.
Spaceship poster.
That's probably $50 to $75.
All right. Elvis Costello, it's more of a good drawing picture, but it shows the tour dates and stuff.
He's not quite as popular right now, so his stuff's, $30, $40.
Good drawings, but that's about it. All right. Now this one, 2013, the reason I like this poster is that's the logo of Fleetwood Mac, the Penguin. You see them on their T-shirts, you see them on their posters, and so that's sort of the making of their logo of Fleetwood Mac. So it adds value to it, and it has the show dates. So it's
for show cities.
Yeah, show cities. Genesis, that was with that big Genesis tour I just showed you on the program.
The pop-up book?
Pop-up book, and then all their little pictures of their tour. Now this one, The Who, this is when the Guess Who decided to get back together and make tours. And what really makes this poster a little bit better than other posters is if you look around the edges, it's all their songs of their hits right around, and then their reunion, and with the original.
Where's Memorial Stadium? Is that Newfoundland?
No, Kitchener. That's the Kitchener concert at Memorial Stadium.
They have Memorial Stadium? I thought they said Kitchener Memorial Auditorium.
Well, that's what it is, but they just said Memorial Stadium.
Oh, okay.
Because I bought this at the Kitchener show,
all right.
So I know. And it was the days House of Blues was around, right?
Right.
And I liked it because, going back to Saskatchewan, American Woman, all that, all their hit songs, so people would get it. So, and then having all these names on here.
Having a moose always adds value. People like weird things.
Yeah. Okay, this was a heart poster that I talked in my early days with Glenn. Now, I got this autographed, and I thought I had a really good value poster because I bought it at the Air Canada Centre and autographed right back by the, souvenir booth, right? And then I gave it to Glenn to check out, and Glenn found out that only one of the Nancy sisters signed it, right?
Yeah, the authenticators, we used James Spence They come into our shop a couple times a year to authenticate a huge stack, 800 to 1,000 items. This was in the grouping, and they go, yeah, we've approved it, but, and I can't remember now, it was Ann or Nancy, but either Nancy signed her own and then signed Ann's, or vice versa. So one signature is good, and the other one is the sister doing the
other daughter,
the other sister's autograph. So it kind of screws it up a bit. I mean, it would be better if they're both authenticated. So you do have the authenticity we gave you, which says one is a good signature. I don't know if it was.
But it was a little deceiving seeing both sisters thinking you got them, and you're buying them at the show.
It's a curiosity item. It's probably worth $75, but if it had both, it'd be worth probably $150 to $200.
Yeah, and they like the card just like they sell license plates at their tours, right? Okay, so we'll go to the next one. This is my favorite one because it's Huey Lewis. And as you can see, it's one of their album covers. And we were at the Niagara Falls show when Huey Lewis came, and they all autographed it.
They did the nice silver ink on it, which shows nicely on that.
So this poster would be worth now a lot more because it's Huey Lewis and one of their album covers where they signed their signature.
But they're always worth a lot more when somebody dies.
Yes.
So,
but Huey ain't touring anymore because of his voice. He had something going wrong with his voice, so that was one of his last tours. I even actually went with Rob.
But if you had this from...
And Rob, you were
So say this is worth $75. If this was signed Tom Petty's, it's $1,000. Yeah. Tragically Hip, $1,200. Right. I mean, if you have the big stars and they're not with us anymore...
It's worth more.
Tons more. There's no more supply coming out. And everyone wants to buy the rarest thing. So... Right. Even though they're $1,000, they're easier to sell than that poster is at $50.
Yeah. But the good thing about this is, like you said, they signed in silver.
No, it's nice looking. If you're a big fan, it's a great thing to display in a bar or at your house.
All right, so we'll go to some other ones now. Now, this was the last Michael Jackson tour where his family, with the Jackson 5.
Right.
So I can't even remember how, 15, 20 years ago, something like that?
No, I think longer than that.
Yeah. So that is the last tour that the Michael Jackson
he did it, I think, to help his brothers out. And Michael was already insanely wealthy, but by doing this, he was able to make some money for his brothers because the tour was huge.
Yes.
80,000 people a night around the world. Yeah.
This was when they were in Detroit, is where I got this poster for them playing in Detroit. So I don't know what it's worth, but it's the last time the Jacksons were ever together, really.
It looks like it's one poster that was made for all the dates.
Yeah.
So probably wouldn't be as valuable as one that we can tie down to a particular date. And they did make a lot of merchandise and things for this tour. But, it's $50 to $100. Condition, again, is always going to really dictate. If it's nice condition, you get a lot more money.
Our favorite guy, Jimmy Buffett. Now, the reason I like his posters, his T-shirt, just like his music, is have fun in the sun, have fun in the summer, the Caribbeans, and as you can see, the parrot heads. Yeah. Now, if you...
Drinks, margaritas. If you must be a hamburger in there in paradise somewhere. Someone's having a hamburger.
And if you ever been to a Jimmy Buffett show, there's a group called the Parrot Heads. And the Parrot Heads wear parrot hats like crazy. And some of the parrot hats are worth $200 to $500. Because they get them all fancied up with parrots and feathers and stuff, and it's like a club.
Well, that's his fan club.
Yeah, that's his fan club.
They're in every city.
Yeah.
So every city he goes to, and he's great at promoting other things like his own tequila and his beer, Land Shark. The whole thing is almost like a commercial, but people are into it. They're very. Everyone's dressed. The parking lots. There's all kinds of tailgating and everything like that. Everyone buys their merchandise before the show, puts it in their vehicle, and then they go in and get hammered, usually. Most people drink a lot at those shows.
Yeah, because it's a summer party show. All right. Katy Perry.
That's the Roar tour.
Yep. Colorful poster.
That was her biggest tour by far.
Yeah. And she had a great stage set there. Poster's not worth that much, probably $50.
Yeah, about that.
But it's colorful and typical of Katy Perry's outfits. Right. Now, this is a really good Katy Perry tour. The poster doesn't show justice on the screen, but it's a black and white velvet poster. And I had it framed and encased with glass, so that's why when I took the picture of it, it's kind of shiny. But if you saw the real poster, it's like the old black light posters of the 60s and 70s. So And it was expensive to buy because you could feel all the blacklight fur on it and stuff. So I don't know what you think it's worth, but it is a classic.
I don't know how many they made of that, but it could be worth a couple $100 if it's extremely limited. Usually, sometimes they'll have a number, and then like it'll say 212 out of 500.
It was sold separate from our other posters because it was a blacklight velvet poster, and it cost a lot more. I think it probably cost $60 or $70 to buy. I can't
The
remember.
first thing always to do is go to the bands. Every band has their own website, and just see if they're still selling them. They might have some in the archives that they're still selling. Right. If they are, usually then the secondary market, the value doesn't go up that much.
Well, I know this velvet poster was a limited edition because they only brought so many at the site. All right. Kings of Leon.
They fell from grace almost as quickly as they went up. They're somewhat popular now, but they're not considered a top act anymore. At the time, the poster might have been going for 75 to 100. You're probably lucky to get 50 now.
Right. So we'll go to some other ones. Maroon 5, same as the last one, not worth that much, just some good graphics.
They tour a lot.
So,
they do make nice, interesting posters, but Train as well has similar posters to this. This is when they were both touring together. But
2011. All right, we'll go. Now that's an old Neil Young poster. I can't even remember. It's got to be in the 70s.
Well, they also did the movie as well, right? So this, I'm not sure if that promoted the concert or the movie.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
Because it says presented in Restovision. This is when they had when you arrived at the concert, just the big trunks were on the stage, and then people got out of the trunks.
Oh, yeah.
It was a very good tour, for sure. But it's a popular tour, so if it is a tour poster, it's going to have a value of over $100. But if it's related to the movie, there might be more made. I'm not sure which this is.
I think it's from the tour, because that's when I bought it at a flea market, the guy said he was at the show. So, okay. Good Oasis poster with the graphics and the tour dates. There probably were something because Oasis isn't touring anymore. They always had fights with their brothers. And
the last show was in Toronto.
Yeah, their last show. And
when somebody came up on stage and sucker punched one of them.
And
he's never
damaged his shoulder
played since, I don't think. His brother has.
Yeah. So that was one of the last Oasis shows. And I think this was on the Toronto Island.
Is that
tour.
Toronto Island? Yeah, that's the one where he came out. I know it was near the end. It was near the end of the tour. They never even finished the tour.
Right, because of the injury.
Yeah, and he was gone. And there's huge lawsuits still going on that.
Over that one.
$50 million or more.
But it's a good graphics in one of the last Oasis tours. I don't know what it's worth.
$50.
Yeah. So it kept its value to some degree. All right. This is a lithograph poster. It's thicker than normal posters. And was sold separate from the regular Paul McCartney poster. So it was like a matting, not your normal thin posters, but a thicker mat with some type of different ink poster. So it was a good one.
It's not numbered. If it was numbered, it'd be much better because then you'd know how many were made. But, he doesn't sell anything cheap. So when you buy something off McCartney's site, you're going to pay $75 to $100.
Right.
So it's probably worth around there. I don't think it would go up in value. But if it was numbered and the artist signed it, or even more particularly if Paul McCartney had signed it, then it could be a couple $1,000.
All right. Typical Pink Floyd poster with the hammer and the troops marching. Pink Floyd, The Wall. They made multiple different types of posters.
A lot of wall ones.
But I like this.
Some are for the movie,
marching
but
band.
this is for the tour.
Yeah, this is the general tour of Pink Floyd. This one was like at Air Canada, I think, if I remember right. The Police, 2007, 2008. So we did the Police in the early days, and then they broke up for a while. And then in 2007, they got offered tons of money and came back and did a tour, and they did their annual.
It's almost like Takeoff on Synchronicity with the colors.
Yeah.
But it was, I thought it'd be a little more popular because Police were huge when they toured, and they only put out, 5 albums, but they had all kinds of hits on every album. But Sting changed the music. He made it more jazzy.
Right.
And when they came out and played this tour, a lot of the Police hits, people wanted to hear the old reggae style.
Right.
Instead, they did, because Sting's the biggest star by far. He dictates what happens. And so they did sort of the jazzy versions. people weren't there to hear that. They wanted to hear the original Police music. So I went to it. It was okay. It could have been better if it was all played like the original Police played it.
So I don't even think they got together after this tour anymore. Maybe one more.
No, and one's passed now, right?
So I don't know what this poster's worth, but it's a good graphic.
$100.
All right. Hey, Glenn.
Wolf, how you doing, buddy?
Good. I brought you a whole bunch of more rock and roll stuff to show you. And as I told you before, when you have over 10,000 rock and roll items, this is the place, Glory Day Collectibles, that you bring your stuff to find out what it's worth, whether it's passes, tickets, T-shirts, programs, posters, and other rock and roll memorabilia. Glenn's group, they analyze it. They tell you whether it's a real autograph, a fake autograph, a good poster, a good program, or whether they're copies.
If I'll get lucky, I'll find a joint in this pocket. No, nothing. Too bad. It's always good. You never know when you find drugs from one of the roadies.